Dr. Teo Pin.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to declare my interest as the Vice Chairman of the Singapore Environment Council. So I rise in support of the bill. So Singapore is a small nation with limited land area and no natural resources. This has necessitated us to import resources in order for us to build up our infrastructure and build environment to allow Singaporeans to live, work and play as they do today. Likewise, 90% of our food is imported from outside of Singapore. This is in addition to the natural gas and the liquefied natural gas that we import to generate 95% of our electricity. So in other words, we are heavily reliant on supplies that we import to survive. There should be no illusions that we can survive in isolation. Yet, we are victims of our own success. Our economic growth has caused Singaporeans to become affluent, and we have developed a tendency to overconsume. This overconsumption is not isolated to merely food, but also other resources such as electrical and electronic appliances. Statistics released by the Ministry places the amount of food waste per year as 763 million kilograms, and the amount of e-waste per year as 60 million kilograms. So climate change, an issue which Prime Minister Lee spoke on extensively at the recent National Day rally, will pose threats to the supply of resources such as reduction of harvest use and disruptions to transportation. It is inevitable that this will affect Singaporeans, given our need to import resources. As such, all of us must play our parts and make sustainability a way of life in Singapore. So the bill provides a first step in encouraging the responsible consumption of resources and the proper disposal of e-waste and food waste among Singaporeans. It is also a good starting point in the creation of a sustainable ecosystem to manage waste in Singapore. So I would like to raise some questions relating to the bill at this juncture. In relation to paragraph 15, subsection 1, it is stated that, I quote, large retailers must offer in-store collection of certain e-waste, unquote. With the proliferation of e-commerce, it is conceivable that e-retailers sell a comparable amount, if not more, in comparison to the traditional brick-and-mortar retailers. How does the Ministry intend for these retailers to provide these physical collection points when they do not have any physical stores? In addition, the stipulations of paragraphs 14 and 15 are likely to cause large retailers of electrical and electronic appliances to incur additional costs. And has the Ministry studied how we can help to offset some of these costs? So to help alleviate the burden on businesses, I would like to propose 3 measures. First, the government should consider providing grants or tax breaks. These grants or tax breaks can be given when businesses invest in infrastructure to promote sustainable practices, such as the setting up of in-store collection points and waste recycling centers. Second, the government can look into the possibility of renting industrial buildings to these retailers at subsidized prices if they are used for waste disposal processes such as consolidation or sorting. We can learn from the state of government of Victoria, Australia, which provides grants and funding for programs contributing to sustainability, including infrastructure. In particular, one of the grants known as the Resource Recovery Infrastructure Fund aims to improve the collection, sorting and recycling of processed materials. It has allocated 19.1 million Australian dollars since 2017. It has proven successful with an estimated reduction in 900,000 tons of landfill waste per year. We can learn from the Victorian government in incentivizing the creation of waste disposal infrastructure in our nation. Third, the government should set up an online national registry of producers and regulated products. This will not only help businesses in reducing costs associated with developing their own systems to monitor and track these products, but also will help the government in aggregating data on a national scale. This will help it to identify ways in which schemes can be improved upon and programs introduced in order to ramp up sustainability efforts. So it is not sufficient to simply assign the responsibility to businesses. The contributions of businesses in efforts such as carrying energy-efficient appliances, promoting the purchase of these, providing attractive trade-in deals to incentivize consumers to use energy-efficient products, and setting up more e-waste recycling points are bound to aid in sustainability. However, the pursuit of sustainability should be a collective effort by Singaporeans from all walks of life. Third, there are drawbacks to imposing the bulk of responsibility on the retailers. First, this will result in rising business expenditures for the retailers. In turn, they will pass on this increased cost to consumers. This may disincentivize Singaporeans from procuring more energy-efficient appliances and keeping up with technological advancements. The former will definitely not support environmentalism, while the latter will create speed bumps in our drive to make Singapore a smart nation and a global tech hub. So I wish to make three proposals as to how we can take the provisions of the bill further and work towards Singaporeans coming together to reduce waste and engaging in measures beneficial for the environment. First, the government should launch an education program, a campaign aimed at educating businesses and consumers on how to properly dispose of various kinds of waste, including food and e-waste. The goal of this campaign is to ultimately ingrain sustainable practices into the subconscious of each and every Singaporean in a similar fashion to how the proper separation of waste has become a given to most Japanese people. In addition, in relation to education pertaining to consumers and businesses, the government should aim for the three following policy outcomes. One, for consumers and businesses to make every conscious effort to fight climate change and engage in sustainable practices such as using energy-efficient appliances and purchasing the right amount of food. Two, for responsible consumption and proper disposal of waste to become second nature to consumers and businesses. Three, for consumers and businesses to encourage others to adhere to sustainable practices through whistleblowing or otherwise, and to prevent the indiscriminate disposal of waste. Second, the government can provide tax breaks or grants to retailers who choose to engage in corporate social responsibility programs such as replacing the energy-inefficient appliances of low-income households with more energy-efficient models. So, air conditioners and refrigerators, which are energy inefficient, consume a great amount of energy. Low-income households are unable, rather than unwilling to replace this. It would be beneficial if the government can provide tax breaks for these companies, as their actions will help not just the environment, but also our less fortunate. Third, the government can work with our supermarkets to ensure that food nearing expiry is not simply disposed of, but is provided to the less well-off in Singapore. So the French government passed a law in 2016 mandating that large supermarkets have to donate excess food to food banks and charitable organizations. If we had a similar initiative in Singapore, we can not only reduce the amount of food waste, but also help those in need. Struggling households will greatly benefit from receiving this food, while we make strides in cutting down on waste. I would like to propose that the Ministry study the possibility of enacting similar measures. So in conclusion, while I stand wholly in support of the bill, I believe that future legislation or initiatives should make more room for the inclusion of all those who reside in Singapore to contribute more to sustainability. I believe that the best solution to solving our issues pertaining to waste is to foster an environmentally conscious society on all levels and across all sectors in which the pursuit of reduced waste is a concept which is ingrained on a subconscious level in Singaporean businesses, people, and government.